Alright, take a shot if you've heard this one before. The Lakers have been linked to Walker Kessler. And well, once again, they have been linked to him. According to Utah Jazz beat reporter Andy Blarson, the Lakers showed interest in him at the trade deadline and may look to trade for him again this summer. However, not only Walker Kessler, but they've also been linked to his teammate, John Collins, another guy we've heard them have interest about, another guy they have been linked to, and even dating back to last summer. So there definitely is some momentum here, and they might be looking to target one of them, or maybe even both of them through a trade. So we'll talk about how they could do it, either if it would be for trading one of them, if they could finally pull off the trade for Walker Kessler, what might have changed since the trade deadline, and how the trade package for him might look like at this point, and then if they would simply go the John Collins route too. So we'll talk about all of that and try to break it all down here. And beginning with John Collins, apart from Walker Kessler, Andy Blarson did confirm that the Lakers and Jazz have held trade discussions around him, not only about Walker Kessler but even individually for John Collins. So they definitely do have some level of interest in him, even apart from Walker Kessler. And while I'm not sure they'd try to make an individual trade for him, I'm not sure I really see the point in it, and with what it would take to get him, I'm not sure they could make it a major upgrade in my opinion. I mean, with the salary that John Collins has, being a $26.5 million salary, if you'd opt into that player option, and that's incredibly likely in my opinion, then the guy they'd be looking to trade for him would almost certainly be Rui Hachimura. And comparing the two of them to each other, not much of a difference in my opinion. Yes, the stats point to John Collins last season, but if you take it from a 3-year standpoint, not a big difference in my opinion. Playing roughly the same amount of games, Collins averaging about 3 more points per game, but if you put him on the Lakers team compared to a combination of Atlanta and Utah, I'm sure that'll be even a bit more even. And then I guess in regard to shooting efficiency, not a whole lot different here. Hachimura better from the 3-point line, Collins better from the field. Overall value I guess would point to Collins being a slight upgrade per value over replacement rating, having a plus 1.8 rating compared to Hachimura having a plus 1.0 rating. And yes, simply last season, Collins was better, but again, pointing to the teams they played for and the individual roles they filled, Rui Hachimura had much more of a limited role compared to what Collins had. Again, he probably would be a slight upgrade compared to Rui Hachimura, but would it be enough to justify trading him and trading them for each other straight up, or with simply a little bit of draft compensation attached to Hachimura? Probably not in my opinion. And to make it worth it for him, I'd be looking to expand the trade. Eventually we'll talk about a John Collins and Walker Kessler trade, but if we're simply making Collins the main trade target here, then I'd maybe look at adding a guy like KJ Martin for example, maybe expand the trade to Rui Hachimura, Maxi Kleber, Shake Milton, then maybe a future first round draft pick swap at the absolute most in my opinion for John Collins and KJ Martin. Getting this slight upgrade from Hachimura to John Collins, giving them a better scoring option, a better rebounding option, and that would probably be the main intrigue and main upgrade with him in my opinion. The rebounding, then the lob threat ability, that would probably be what I'd point to with John Collins compared to Hachimura. Then with KJ Martin, could be a decent wing option off the bench, give them more youth and more athleticism off the bench. Is an uber athletic player, so that would be fun to watch, but he is a bit raw in pretty much every other area. Not a great catch and shoot option, isn't a very reliable shooting option in general, does have to work on that. Despite how athletic he is not a great defender, at least not a very committed defender unfortunately, so he would be more of a bench piece for them, like the 10 to 15 minutes per game off the bench, rather than a reliable rotation option or even a starting level option, definitely not that. And for John Collins, I don't mind it, but it doesn't really make sense in my opinion. Yes, again, he is a slight upgrade compared to Hachimura, is slightly better offensively, is slightly better defensively, but they run into many of the same problems with Collins that they already do with Hachimura. For one, he doesn't fill the defensive role they need in their starting lineup. Between Luka Doncic and LeBron, they're going to be taking more off-ball players and LeBron playing more at power forward. That's kind of the role that John Collins fills defensively, and he wouldn't be able to take on that perimeter matchup role on defense, defending small forwards and smaller wing players. He really can't do that, also like Rui Hachimura. So again, like John Collins and think he would be a decent fit, but I'm probably not looking to trade for him individually with Rui Hachimura. And the only way I'm doing it would be if we could expand the trade with him and Walker Kessler together, which might not be very likely. But if it could happen and what a trade would look like for it, it probably would look something like Rui Hachimura, Dalton Knecht, either Maxi Kleber or Gabe Vincent, their 2031 first-round draft pick, removing their pick protection on the 2027 draft pick they already owe the Utah Jazz, that currently being 1 through 4 protected. Likely is something that Utah is looking for here, and likely is something they've been asking about, as that could make that pick more valuable to them. And then maybe a future first-round draft pick swap or two to top that trade package off, which in my opinion would definitely be a lot to offer here, offering the combination of not only Rui Hachimura, not only Dalton Knecht, but both of them together with an expiring contract, then with their final tradable first-round draft pick, that being in 2031, definitely would be a lot to offer here. But would it be worth it, getting both John Collins and Walker Kessler together, completely revamping the Lakers front court and giving them both a center option for their team, then what would likely be an off-the-bench kind of six-man for their team with John Collins? It might be intriguing. Once again though, I'm not sure that Danny Ainge and the Jazz will take it. I mean, time after time now, we've heard about them having interest in Walker Kessler, likely offering the same variation or some variation of the same trade package. You know, not with Hachimura and John Collins being included here, but the Dalton Knecht trade package with the 2031 first-round draft pick, maybe a future first-round draft pick swap, and removing that pick protection. They've likely already offered that or some variation of it. So is anything different now compared to back then? Well, one thing actually might be different. I brought this up in my last video I talked about with Walker Kessler, that being the fact that he's entering the final year of his rookie contract, then the fact that they have yet to come to an agreement on a contract extension, which might kind of hint at them not wanting to have that future talk or not wanting to agree with that contract with Walker Kessler and his agent. Maybe they're asking for an amount that the Utah Jazz feel like he's not worth, or what they don't really want to factor into their payroll. So that might be something different compared to back at the trade deadline, or even dating back to last summer, as the Lakers have shown interest for over a year now in Kessler at this point. But then on the other side of that, we would have to factor that into the guy we're trading for here in Walker Kessler. Not only are we giving up a gigantic trade package for him, Dalton Knecht, their final tradable first-round draft pick, maybe future first-round draft pick swaps, and that pick protection on their 2027 first-round draft pick. That's a lot to offer for a guy that we would then have to pay over time, likely paying him anywhere from 20 to 25 million per year. And yes, I definitely think he would ask for that. Maybe with a guy like Miles Turner resetting the center market pretty soon, maybe getting anything from 30 to 35 million per season. And yes, reports do indicate that he might ask for that, and that's the contract or a salary per season that he is looking for. That would reset the trade market for centers. So getting Kessler, having to pay him, giving up that trade package, and kind of depleting their trade asset pool would be a lot to give up for a guy here. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but it's definitely something to think about here. Also something to factor in why I wouldn't trade Austin Reaves for him. I've seen many fans saying that they would trade Reaves for Walker Kessler in a heartbeat, and I really don't think that makes sense. Giving up their best trade asset for a guy that, yes, does fill a hole for their team, but they have to already give up a big trade package for, then they have to pay him on top of it. I'm not trading Austin Reaves for him in particular. Maybe if we're talking about a proven all-star or somebody of that caliber, then yes, we can talk about trading Austin, but not for this trade package in my opinion. But if it would come to both Walker Kessler and John Collins through a trade, then I would think more heavily about Dalton Knecht and Rui Hachimura being sent in that trade package, along with their 2031 future first-round draft pick. And according to this report, I wouldn't be shocked if the Lakers have thought about this or even asked about it, given the fact that they're interested in both Walker Kessler and John Collins dating back to the trade deadline now. And given the details in this report, I wouldn't be shocked if the Lakers asked about this or kind of investigated it. A trade for both Walker Kessler and John Collins in the same trade package, hinting at their interest in both of them and why they're trying to target the Jazz and why we keep hearing about both of them, might be because they're trying to trade for both of them in the same trade package. So if that would turn out to be the case here, then I wouldn't be opposed to trading Dalton Knecht, wouldn't be opposed to trading their 2031 future first-round draft pick, and maybe even Rui Hachimura with them. Unfortunately, no, I don't think we could get away with not trading Hachimura here. I've seen a bunch of mock trades that only include Dalton Knecht with Maxi Kleber, then either Gabe Vincent or Jared Vanderbilt, but I don't think the Jazz would go for that. In my opinion, if you're getting Walker Kessler with John Collins, then you can fully expect to trade Dalton Knecht and Rui Hachimura here. No other way around it, you're not going to get both of them, let alone even Walker Kessler without Dalton Connect and probably Hachimura in the same trade package. It's going to take a lot to get them, especially if you're not trading Austin Reeves, and I personally wouldn't go that route. And well, with all of that being said here, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the reports about the Lakers being interested in Walker Kessler and John Collins, and dating all the way back to the trade deadline in both of them? Even having a legitimate reported discussion and trading for both of them, individually at that. How do you feel about that? Would you trade for them? Would you trade for both of them in the same trade, or which then would you prioritize heavier? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.